So the amp is a Series 1 Bluesbreaker, or to give it its exact model, it's a 1961 model JTM45 4x10 combo. I believe it's from late 1964. The amp belonged to Henry McCullough, and I bought it off his wife, Josie McCullough, back in 2018. Josie was a really lovely woman, and just had great chats, and then she said, come out and look at all these old amps, and they were in a bad way. They had been left in a shed beside the sea in Josie and Henry's house for years, and lo and behold, here's this really old 1964 Bluesbreaker just sitting there, 4x10 model. I could hardly believe what I was looking at, and I remember saying to her at the time, like, that's a really special amp. Henry died unfortunately a couple of years before I got the amp, but just has an amazing heritage in the guitar scene in the UK and Ireland. He was the only Irishman to play in Woodstock, played with Joe Cocker's Grease Band, and anyone that's up on their Woodstock history probably would remember him as that guy singing the high-pitched backing vocals for With Little Help From My Friends.
Would you believe in a love at first sight? I'm certain it happens all the time.
You know, it sounds cliche because everyone tells you tube amps are harmonically rich, but that amp is just built on harmonics. It just blossoms harmonics.
After probably what was 18 months of restoration and repair and trying to tidy up the amp and work on it, and late nights and emails and forms and questions and pouring over schematics, I was kind of ready then. I had everything done and ready to turn it on. It was a bit nail biting when I first energised it because, like I was saying earlier, it probably was 25 years since there was power on the amp. But yeah, amazingly enough, all the work paid off, and it just fired back up into life. Got good tubes in there, and from the get-go the amp just sounded, oh my god, it just sounded absolutely amazing.
The tremolo circuit's a bit of an odd one on this. It's not tube driven like what you would see in a Fender, it's transistor driven, so it's pretty lightweight, but it's a really nifty little tremolo. It sounds quite sweet, doesn't seem to affect the top end that much, just affects the bass and the mid, which is quite peculiar compared to a Fender.
Yeah, it's just one of those amazing pieces of musical kit, guitar-related kit. You kind of feel like you're a custodian of these things more than anything else. You don't get an amp like that and think, oh, this is my amp. It's almost like, the amp picks you, and it's you're a part of its journey. And I kind of feel like that with this amp. Always just there, the right man at the right time to repair it. And amazing, really. I've always been fascinated with these amps. I started building guitar amps when I was about 9 years old, and just to have this, I suppose, probably one of the rarest amps ever made, very sought after amp, and just a very special piece of kit, like.
Fuck knows, man. Like, that amp, as far as I know, has been through a lot of practice halls, venues, gigs, who knows. And I'd say at some point he was some guitar player in a band, probably one of the Irish show bands or something like that. And yeah, scratched his name in there to make sure that everyone had that amp remembered him. Yeah, just really an amazing piece of guitar history, like, and just glad to be, a part of that, able to fix these amps up, and hopefully, wherever this amp ends up, whether it ends up in me or someone else, or I suppose wherever the next place it makes its home, just hope they know its story, and yeah, I suppose what's gone into it before me and during my time and whatever else comes. So yeah, there you go, and I'll leave the amp to do its talking now.